I'm only half joking when I refer to Ottawa as a city-state. In land area, our city is half the size of the province of Prince Edward Island. If this is a surprise to you, please raise your hand. This poll is not just a TEDx engagement strategy. It is a test of reality, because if so many of you who care enough about big picture thinking to come to TEDx talks are unaware how vast our city is, it's certain you're not alone. Yet this reality, if embraced as part of our identity, could transform the future for our city. Here's the proposition. A significant nature-based, nature-positive economy in Ottawa is not only possible, it's vital. It's important to say that although this talk focuses on Ottawa, it is more broadly relevant. A movement to intensify nature-based economies in and around cities will be beneficial to the cities that participate and will allow more land beyond urban centers to be kept in or returned to a fully natural state, something that will revitalize both planet and people. I also want to say at the outset that I am very grateful to live in a city that already has so much going for it. That includes many things that do take advantage of the nature around us. But in some ways, we remain a government town that happens to have countryside. We have not claimed the potential for being among one of the world's most nature-endowed cities. To put the PEI analogy into numbers, Ottawa is 2,800 square kilometers. 80% of that is rural. Farms, fields, forests, waterways, wetlands, biodiversity, and beauty. This supersized municipality was created 25 years ago when the original city of Ottawa was amalgamated with 25 adjacent municipalities and rural townships. The provincial government of the time rode shotgun on this amalgamation, and many residents did not welcome the marriage. And still, 25 years later, resentment prevails. So we have never challenged ourselves to collaborate on a great, big, beautiful, ambitious vision for what the whole of our city could be. Nature-based economies can encompass agriculture, forestry, fisheries, renewable resources, tourism, recreation, education, and more. The nature-positive part means that the goal is not to just extract value from nature. It is to create regenerative, reciprocal relationships, to work with, restore, and maintain the health of natural systems. This isn't some hippie dream. Many players, I like hippies, but many players are already on this track. In fact, the need for regenerative approaches is increasingly evident to many who have and who influence investment capital. To quote a recent RBC report, building natural capital wealth is a pathway to reboot nature-based sectors and to boost nature's role in the built economy. And there's more than the economy at stake. Consider climate change. It's already here and hitting hard. Of course, it will require much more than nature-based solutions to put the brakes on it. We need to seriously ramp up energy system transitions, alternatives to fossil fuels, super efficiency, etc. Despite recent political setbacks, there are many encouraging trends. Shout out to my fellow TEDx speaker this morning, Richard Webster, for his incredible work at CHIO. And also many inspiring innovations. To cite just one Ottawa-based example, the whole 34-acre Zibi development just west of Parliament Hill is cooled in the summer by the Ottawa River and heated by post-industrial waste energy from the nearby Kruger tissue mill. But, yeah, it's pretty impressive. But I digress. To return to nature-based economies, they do have a really important role to play in reducing emissions and in pulling carbon from the atmosphere. and they build resilience to the impacts of climate change. The kinds of disruptions and disasters that we hear about almost daily and are experiencing. So imagine in Ottawa where agriculture rebuilds healthy soils that pull carbon from the atmosphere, where more of the food we eat comes from local farms, where better treed shorelines provide food, fiber, and beauty while reducing flooding risk, where we build with carbon protective materials partly sourced from local forests, where residents have richer relationships with nearby nature, and where there's even more reason for locals to staycation and for tourists to visit. Here are 3 more detailed pictures of possibilities. Picture 1, regenerative agriculture. Ottawa has well over 1,000 farms, covering about 35% of our land area. So our city already has an agricultural economy that is huge compared to most. These farmers are heroic because the intelligent skills and determination it takes to make farms work today is extraordinary. Among the challenges are climate change and soil degradation. Regenerative agriculture is a set of principles and practices to rebuild and maintain soil health. Healthier soils result in higher sustained yield, and they pull more carbon out of the atmosphere. One set of practices revolves around planting cover crops and maintaining living roots in the soil. This builds organic matter, improves soil structure, and boosts biodiversity. A more specific example involves a mineral called wollastonite. Based on recent field trials, applying this mineral to soil permanently locks in carbon, improves soil health, and crop yields. Coincidentally, Canada's only wollastonite mine is in Kingston, Ontario. This makes Ottawa a great place to further pioneer its use. Transitioning to regenerative practices, as you can imagine, takes investment, labor, and time. And the benefits can take several years to kick in. Of course, farmers are in the driver's seat, but adoption would be a lot more likely with technical and financial support and with field research to ensure local practices are adapted well to local conditions and to measure and improve outcomes. This would be a great role for the City of Ottawa's own Smart Farm in keeping with its test and promote mandate. So, what if we got behind making Ottawa a hub of regenerative agriculture? And the we is a big tent. It can include our municipal government, the National Capital Commission, other major landowners and decision makers, leading environmental, climate, and agricultural organizations, our colleges and universities, and us, the residents of the City of Ottawa. Picture 2. Our local food economy. I find this hard to fathom, but there has not been an assessment of Ottawa's agricultural economy since amalgamation. It's hard to discern how things might evolve when we don't know where they stand. But based on data available from the province, most of the revenue earned by Ottawa's farming sector comes from crops whose markets lie beyond the city. Commodity crops like soybeans, corn, and feed grains, and also dairy products. It's also certain that the vast majority of what Ottawa residents eat does not come from local farms. These realities reflect broad-scale economic dynamics, but the balance can be shifted. As the National Capital Commission has noted, with 1.5 million residents living in the region, we have the opportunity to develop a robust, vibrant farming sector where small and medium-sized farms can respond to local demand. But these farmers need a pathway through to consumers, an efficient pathway. Ottawa does have many farmers markets. We have great organizations like Just Food that do good work to promote and support local food. We have a grain processor, Ottawa Valley Feed Grains, We have a manufacturing facility, Northhouse Foods, that works with independent labels to develop and produce food products. But in order to get to a scale that will really make a difference to the local economy and to regional food security, we need better infrastructure and more integrated infrastructure for distributing, storing, and processing food. These are needs that should feature in the City of Ottawa's planning policies, asset development plans, and economic strategies, especially given that money spent on local products circulates longer within the local economy, stimulating more local employment. As climate impacts hit and other global dynamics threaten to disrupt trading systems, what kind of city do you want to live in? One with very limited food storage capacity that imports almost everything and hopes that supply chains always hold up? Or one that has built some resilience into its DNA? Picture 3, from tragedy to opportunity. The emerald ash borer infestation was devastating. We grieved the loss of tens of thousands of trees from yards, parks, and streets. We felt the impacts on our health and well-being and property values and more. These trees provided something called ecological services, benefits we get free from nature. But there was an even bigger, a huge impact that barely gets talked about. Like agriculture, Ottawa's forests cover a huge amount of our land area, about 30%. So many times more trees, almost certainly millions, were lost from these forests. It would not have been possible to reclaim all of the lumber from this wood, but we didn't reclaim any of it. The value could have been in the hundreds of millions of dollars. We don't know more certainly because we don't have a comprehensive inventory of these forests or an assessment of their economic potential. But are we any better prepared to glean some silver lining from the impacts that are currently devastating beech trees? There's an epidemic that is at play there. Or to find opportunities even in the absence of major tree die-off. One such opportunity is in mass timber products. These are manufactured, engineered building materials that can use lower grade wood, and they are revolutionizing construction. They are as structurally effective as concrete, faster to build with, have lower environmental impact, and store carbon. They might also help in addressing our housing affordability crisis. Enbridge has just built their operations center for mass timber, shipped 500 kilometers from St. Thomas, Ontario. The market for mass timber will continue to grow. Given the benefits cited and the hammering that Ottawa's forestry sector is currently taking, it makes sense to do everything we can to encourage this trend, including looking to the possibility of local products to meet regional demand. Under ecologically appropriate management, Ottawa's public forests and private woodlots could not on their own generate enough wood to support industrial operations, but they could contribute in this regional context. We can't import healthy soils or flourishing forests from Amazon, either the company or the rainforest. We need to invest in learning how to live well with the nature we live in. To me, this reality that nature-positive economies are inherently place-based. They require place-based commitment and knowledge. It's another great, if more subtle, gift. Author and botanist Robin Wall-Kimmerer has suggested that to become more indigenous to the place we live is to behave as if our children's future will also be in that place. What if Ottawa became not just Canada's capital, but Canada's natural capital? What if 20 years from now, when someone asks you to describe Ottawa, you talk about our incredible agricultural innovation, our robust local food scene, our forest products that are helping to solve climate change, and our resilient economy, and the beauty and vitality of the nature around us? I've worked with governments at all levels and in the private and not-for-profit sector. I know about obstacles. But the new paths we need to a future we want begin with recognizing what we have and asking good questions. The knowledge exists, the tools exist, global momentum is building. Let's see Ottawa not just as it is, but as it could be. So I'll leave you with this quick summary. We live in a city with thousands of square kilometers of incredible natural assets. That's not just our backyard. That's our future. Thank you.